I wrote the book Confidence Feels Like Shit because I wanted people to know, and it's like the subtitle's like the truth about confidence and what it really takes to create it. I'm an only child, and I grew up in Framingham, Massachusetts, and my whole life was in and out of mental hospitals and foster care, and my dad left when I was 2, and she physically abused me, sexual abuse, the whole thing. It impacted me more than I wish it did, to be honest, because I hate to say like she ruined my childhood. I know she didn't consciously, but as a person who's done so much work now, I'm like, that was not okay.
You know, there's something interesting about you having to come back here and face the demons of what the U.S. was for you with your childhood, with your mother, with all of that.
For me, that's what confidence is. And so it's not red lipstick. It's not cheetah print. It's not a Maserati. It's not your bank account. It's not your biceps. It's not other people's opinions.
Okay, so I'm going to get rid of my cheetah print pants because I've been rocking those for like 2 weeks now.
I'm sure they look great on you, though.
That was the definition of
Does
confidence.
it give you confidence?
Do you feel
apparently
sexy?
not.
I feel like we attract who we are. And I'm a piece of shit. I'm broken. I'm damaged. I'm messed up. God hates me, whatever. If there is a God, I was in that space. So, of course, I attracted someone that goes, hi, let me prove to you all the things you believe about yourself. And so I just started that journey. And it was through getting broken up with, through coming all the way to Australia, thinking that I left all my shit back in America.
Starting over.
Let me just say, no matter where you go, your stuff
follows you.
will follow you across the oceans, even if you didn't pack it. If you repeat the same patterns and the same shit keeps happening, there's a problem. Cool, maybe you can't help yourself. That's not a weakness. We're not meant to do life alone.
Oldish, the show where age-old questions meet new-age answers. With your hosts, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
Erika Cramer, the queen of confidence.
Yes.
Welcome to Oldish.
I am so happy to be here.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. We are here, Australia and America.
I'm so glad that this worked out. We were just talking about this before. So you live in Brisbane, right? Melbourne.
Yes. Where the best coffee is.
The land of coffee shops.
Wait,
exactly.
Wait, but Sydney has some amazing coffee as well.
Not as good.
Is it? Yeah. Is it just a city by city thing, or is it like the entire continent of Australia?
Well, like our coffee level is next level, but Melbourne is known for like snooty patootie best coffee. Coffee's like a full-on big deal there.
Dude, coffee,
I'm telling you.
The coffee that I had in Sydney was like, I've never had coffee where you don't want to put anything in it. It's like you drink it black and it is delicious. Like it's got just enough sweetness, just enough creaminess. Where you're like, I don't want to add anything to it. And then you get back here in the States and you're like, oh my, juice it up. Like give me all the shit.
I've had nitro. Apparently that's like and I'm like, what is this? I need some strong. I'm like 17 shots. The lady's like, what? And I'm like, I'm a mother. I got my kids here. We need all the caffeine.
So you ended up here back in the States in Boston, right? Which is where you're from.
Yep.
Because you were. It was
sad stuff.
You were dealing with your mother who has dementia.
Yeah. So I'm an only child, and I grew up in Framingham, Massachusetts, and my whole life was in and out of mental hospitals and foster care, and my dad left when I was 2, and she physically abused me, sexual abuse, the whole thing. And when she physically abused me when she was ill because she was bipolar. And then I would get put into situations, which is why I talk about this work so much. Like when you lack confidence, when you don't know who you are and you don't do your own work on yourself, you attract people that are pretty interesting.
For sure you do.
And then if you have kids, you put your kids into these positions where they can be abused by these people or molested or all these things. So that happened to me. And then when I was 16, I was like, I got to get out of here. It was like this subconscious, I didn't know, but I was like, I have to get out of here and move to California. So I joined the Army. And wild. The military, I know. For 10 years, I was in the United States Army.
And you said you were in boot camp.
Yeah, when 9/11.
The Twin Towers happened. So
Oops, watch out.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, that must have been surreal to then
Right, when you're
go
like,
from
why
boot
am I
camp
doing
to,
this?
you know,
Yeah.
being put in a room, being like, okay, it's go time.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah. We all joined, like those of us right before 9/11, the ones that joined, we joined because we either wanted to go to college for free.
Right, totally.
Right? Like, we
It's
just
like,
came
this
for
is the
school.
easiest way to just sort of bypass the other stuff. And then all of a
100%.
sudden you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm being called into duty now, active
Wild.
duty, and it's like crazy active.
Yes.
That was, I mean,
That was
Christ,
hectic.
The biggest war that I
was
can remember
insane.
within my lifetime.
And they changed the way, like, they just yelled and spit on your lip and were like full on, like, North Carolina drill sergeants that you would imagine on TV. It was
Like
like,
Full
it was
Metal
like that.
Jacket.
Yep, like, rah, rah. You're
Right.
just doing push ups for no reason.
Right.
And then right after that, they were just like, all right, okay, soldiers, so come over here. And they were just like school teachers. Like, so
Really?
you're going to do, not like that, you're going to do.
'Cause
And
it
they
was
were
so
like,
important.
because they know they're like sending these kids to war. And so it was such a crazy, hectic time. So she raised me, single mother, and it was just me and her. And so recently she got sick. 2021, she got sick. She was good through the pandemic. Her mom died. She was good. And I kind of was like, I love you, Mom, but you're not. Like, she's my mom, but she's not. And I feel that about my kids. Like, I love you. You're my babies. I'm going to raise you. But you're your own person. And you're going to go off and God knows do what. And I have to trust that I've poured enough into you to release you. Like, you're not my property. They're not mine. And so I felt that, like, at 16. I was
Now,
like, Mom,
what do you
peace
mean
out.
when you say that she got sick?
Yeah, so...
What is the difference between when she was younger and you were dealing with that and now?
So 14 years I lived away from America or away from her, and she just kept taking her medication. So she takes like 15 pills a day for her bipolar.
Like bipolar.
Bipolar, yep. So takes her pills. She found a church, which for her, like, I don't agree exactly with what she was doing, but who cares? She was happy. She felt a part of a community. She was good. She was grounded. Through all the fuckery with COVID, she was good. And then in 2021, I was hosting a retreat, which is like a trauma release retreat. It's like 11 p.m. in Australia, and my friend calls me and she's like, your mom's sick. And I was just like, you know those moments when like you've healed and you've done well and then everything comes?
It's a shock, yeah. It's like an instant back 16 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, "Ee," and then I was just like, oh my God, like my trauma response was like, because I was safe. For 15 years, my little girl, are we safe? Are we safe? Nervous
Fight or flight
system.
kicks in right away.
Straight away. And I was like, fuck. And she almost got hit by a car. It was all this stuff. So mental hospital, she got into the hospital again. And for those 2 years, she did what she did when I was a kid, like yo-yoed in and out of mental hospitals, off meds. And I'm in Australia. Like,
so
the
was it
time
because
zones-
of religion that she slowed down on the medication?
So the religion helped her, and then someone at church said some nasty comment about her, and like I feel like she got deceived by her safe space. You know, like it was they deceived her, and she felt hurt, and I think that just took her off her game. And it was like the last 2 years were back and forth, and like it impacted me more than I wish it did, to be honest. Because I hate to say like she ruined my childhood. I know she didn't consciously, but as a person who's done so much work now, I'm like, that was not okay, what I had to go through.
So mental health is a tough one. Like
So tough.
I dealt with neurological stuff for a while,
Wow.
but along with it came this brain fog that was just intense to the point where, and I've told this story before, so I don't want to drag it out too long, but like my best friend of 30 plus years happened to be in the same room with myself and my sister, who he's also known for 30 plus years. And because they were two people in the room together, I made a point of saying, oh, Scott, have you ever met my sister Lorelai? Like, we had this thing. Wow. And in my own brain, I thought, oh, this is what you do. When people are in a room together, you make, and I didn't see what was wrong with it. Whereas for him, it was shocking.
Yeah.
So mental health is an interesting one. Like
It's hard.
you know, and not to excuse your mother
way.
of
Yeah,
anything that you went through. Like, I just want to reaffirm the fact that I understand that mental health is
so hard.
a tough thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's your brain telling you something that isn't necessarily happening and real in the room.
Yeah.
And you don't know that you're doing anything
Yeah,
wrong.
no.
You
I
really
never
don't.
like accused her. Like forever, I was like, my mom is my hero. And I felt this guilt. And it was only recently, maybe the last 3 years, that I was like, a therapist said to me, like, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Because you were a kid. And I have kids. You have kids, right? We have kids. And now I look at my like 6-year-old and I'm like, oh, you're a 6-year-old baby. Like, I was getting sexually abused. I got kidnapped at that age. Like, it was wild. And so, like, my heart and soul forgives her for who she is, and she's had trauma, clearly.
Right.
So it's not your fault, but I'm like, it is our responsibility now to make sure that we take care of, you know, and she willingly stopped her meds.
Yeah.
in 2021.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, it's a difficult thing, but like the choices you're making, my love, are affecting now your entire family. And as the only child, and I live far away. So unfortunately, it just got to the point where it was too much back and forth. And I was like, that's not going to happen. That's already done. Because 15 years is a long time to be well.
For sure.
And then to go back and forth. So this trip was, I'm like getting emotional thinking about it. Because like when I left America, I left because my husband died. I left because there was sexual abuse. I left because life here sucked. I left because I was like, none of this is safe for me. Like this is just, I heard you talking about grief, and your quote about grief was so beautiful. It's like, it's such a journey, grief, and it's going to wait for you until you face it. And I was just like, Control, Alt, Delete, I'm out. And so coming back with my babies, because I'm like,
I was wondering about that, because it's one thing. It's like when you experience something yourself, it's one thing. But then when you have your kids, there's this empathic part of you that is seeing the world through them.
Yeah.
So you then have to see what you witnessed and go through the lens of that.
And it's your job to protect them too. Which is
so did a lot come up for you when you were there?
Well, like, I think by the time we realized, mom's going to be back and forth in the hospital. Listen to my mum, so Australian. Not my mom.
Mum.
My mum.
Yeah.
In the toilet.
Yeah.
My mum. So I was like, this is a thing now. Like, we're back to what it was. And they said to me, like, they thought, which is crazy, she's declined so much that we're going to put her in a geriatric unit because she's 69. Don't even get me started on American health care. And she's like a poor woman who grew up on Social Security, food stamps. We grew up on food stamps, the whole welfare, that whole thing. So she is in this hospital, and every time she goes back, I'm like talking to these doctors at 2 a.m. Australia time, trying to fight with them, and I don't have a power of attorney, I don't have a health proxy, I have nothing. And so I think what happened was they thought she's old and withered, 69. And so she needs to be in a geriatric. So she's got dementia. So we're just going to totally drug her and put her on like schizophrenia medication and just zonk her. And so they were like, she needs to go to a nursing home. And that's when I was like, when like you have to go. And I was just getting the call of like, it's time for you to come back. Erika has to come back to America. And I was like, okay. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have come. And I'm so happy I came because we get to do this and hang out. But also, I feel like I have reclaimed my meaning of the United States. Because I was like saying to my husband, that's why he walked me up. He was like, okay, so there's guns and people steal your children and people get trafficked and everybody has a gun.
Right. So I just want to make sure that you're good in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So he was getting scared. He's like, you're freaking me out about America. We have to clean this up. So I had to like do therapy on my process because in my head, America was unsafe. And then I have all my evidence. And then no offense, but when you watch television about the United States, bit of a hot mess sometimes. The healthcare.
Yeah.
That's kind.
Trump gets shot.
That's kind of you.
And
Very
like,
PC
oh
of you.
God. You know what I mean? But like, it is. It's like obesity, sickness, guns, weed, Trump gets shot. And then all that. So I was just like, I'm happy in Australia. It's not as fun. Australia's not as fun. I will say that. And if Sharma was here, she would know. Like, we're missing like sazon. We're missing the Latin fuego. We're missing culture. We're missing innovation.
Why is it all got to be the Latin?
I know.
What, white people don't bring that to?
We got 0.43% Latinos in Australia. There's not even 1%.
0.43?
I Googled it, Randy. It's true. It's sad. So me and my half-breed kids, we're like 2.5 Puerto Ricans. That's it in Australia.
That's it.
Like 15 years, I've met
you
none.
You guys are the population.
You're right.
Yeah, totally.
It's a reunion and there's 3.5 people.
As soon as you travel, they're in there on the books. They're like, son of a bitch, we've lost it completely. Come home.
So I think this has been like, it was sad to go to Boston. It was sad to see my mom. We packed up her whole house. Like, she's in a nursing home. I've changed her meds. She's doing better. But like, we packed her house. Like she died. It was like she's dead because you did the things you do when someone passes. But she's still alive. Just nobody's home. And
is
it
that
was like,
because of dementia or is that mental health?
So she apparently does not have dementia. She was misdiagnosed. Haha, welcome to the United States.
Welcome to the healthcare system that exists here.
Yep. So she doesn't have, so I've just been like, I think it was one of those things like when you have a parent that's aging or you have someone you love that's got any kind of dementia, Alzheimer's, anything, anybody listening or watching this that's got someone they love that you're trying to advocate for, there's only so much you can do. And it's super frustrating because if I gave up my whole life, I probably could have forced people on the phone. I would have been very stressed out because it's 2 a.m. when I'm calling. And I felt like there was only so much I could do. I'm a mother. I have to look after my kids and my business. And so I feel like if I would have fought harder, maybe someone would have listened to me and changed her meds and not given her the dementia diagnosis. But if I'm honest, like I feel like I did everything I could. And now to go there and see that she remembers us, she was totally like, I know who you are. She's just zonked. So they've just medicated her to the extreme. And so it was hard. So packing up her house, doing all that. And then in Boston, I got a toothache. Random. Never had a tooth infection in my life.
Right.
But I mean,
healthcare out here is not
shocking.
what it's supposed to be.
No,
right?
and I'm like, I need antibiotics. This is and then my husband got gastro. You know what gastro is? In Australia, they call it gastro. No. It's like the stomach where you just diarrhea and you have a fever and you're like, if anybody touches you, they get it as well.
Okay.
So that's fun.
That sounds delicious.
So great. I'm like, the United States is trying to kill us. And then Trump gets shot in the ear, and then we're just like, oh my God, do we need to like evacuate?
We need to go home now.
This is wild. So
wait,
not
so
good.
how has it been now for you? Because first I want to say the quote, which I'm glad you heard and agree with, of grief following it. Not my quote. That was Steve Harvey, of all people, is the one that said that.
Steve Harvey, thank you.
And I absolutely give him credit for that because that was one of those things he said to me, and I was like, "That's God, that rings true." So Steve, great one, and I'm gonna use it forever, but I will not claim it as my own. But you know, there's something interesting about you having to come back here and face the demons of what the U.S. was for you with your childhood, with your mother, with all of that. So I can't imagine at the point when you go home, what you will have gone through and the thankfulness you'll have for the experience, but you're in it right now.
Yes.
How is it feeling for you? Like, I know aside from the facts and the things that are going on, and what
right,
you've
like
had to
being
do.
in it versus the bird's eye view.
How is this
of it?
for you? Because I really try and preach to people that it's out of things like this that so much growth comes. That it always ends up being a catalyst for me. For something new. And when you're in it, you're like, God, this sucks. But then afterwards, you're like, oh man, I'm so glad that happened.
Well, the shitty thing is that I wouldn't have come back during this time. Like on the side, my business here is incredible. My podcast is number one here. Like my biggest audience is in America. My work is needed here. Like I should be here. And I would have been here years ago had it not been for my traumatic experience. Like I literally left because my husband died. And I was like, okay, goodbye. Screw you, United States. I'm out. Like
it reminds me of too much. I need to go.
I literally was just like, I got to get out of here. Like, I met some man from Australia. I'm like, where are you from? Austria? Sure. I don't even know where the hell it is.
I saw that. You were like, I fell in love with an Australian. I moved. That didn't work out. Then you were like, I fell in love with another Australian. That didn't work out. Like, I saw.
What a hot mess. I know. But this is the stuff that happens.
Hot mess. It's everybody goes through it.
Still.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I think, like, had it not, like, I kind of wish I came sooner. Because this is an incredible place. There's so much opportunity there. American people like, oh, you want that? Oh, I know someone. Let me hook you up. It doesn't really happen like that in Australia. So like, I need to be here. And I wouldn't have if it wasn't for that terrible thing. So I'm happy. But I will say like Boston was, I think you don't know until it happens. Like we weren't planning for toothache. And it wasn't a little toothache. It was like, I'm driving and I can't even see. And like, I've got Orajel. I put cloves up there. The cloves were like shoved in my mouth like I don't know, what's that stuff baseball players have? That like
chew.
That chew. It's like clove chew. Just I'm like this driving. Horrific. You got kids, they're 6 and 9. They're like, I hate this place. When can we get out of here? Can I have the Wi-Fi password? And I'm just like having a Marge Simpson moment on the freeway, just like, are you for real?
Totally off subject, and then we'll get back to it. I swear to God, I've had a toothache for the past like 3 days.
No.
A horrible one. Like, and like,
I've
it's
got
kept me up
antibiotics.
At night in bed.
I got Orajel.
So, yeah, totally.
I've got Orajel in that bag.
This episode is being brought to you by Orajel. Thank you, Orajel.
It's the worst, but how are you sitting here being amazing?
It's because I woke up this morning and I was like, okay, it's feeling better. Like, this is, but I was panicking. When I was laying in bed last night, I was like, if it's not better or getting better tomorrow, I might need to go.
Yeah.
But no, it's feeling better.
It's horrific. So to like do that, and then my husband gets gastro, like unplanned. So the trip in Boston was 7 days. We're going to pack up mom's house, We're going to go see Boston Common because Boston, let me just say for the record, is beautiful. Boston is gorgeous. We didn't get to do any of that. So we like extended our stay. We get to the airport, global IT outage. And I'm like, is this real? And I'm looking at my husband
I'm stuck
like,
here? Holy
what
crap.
is the universe trying to just go, you must go to Newberry Street.
Maybe.
You must have one good,
Maybe.
and we had one good experience that last night in Boston.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay. And then we landed in Florida. Literally, my friend has like an underground, like nobody in Florida has basements, but she's got this like Airbnb family basement she built. And we just sat there and just rocked, calmed the nervous system for like 5 days. And just like, I was able to.
It's crazy how the universe does that.
How does this happen?
The universe pushes you into what is the most uncomfortable space, and a space that you do not want to be in or have thought at all about being in, and until you're sitting in it and you're like, oh my God, how did this happen?
It was just
why
too
am I
much,
sitting in a basement?
too much fuckery at once.
It seems like a lot, but also when listening to it, it seems like it's exactly what was needed, whether it was a huge, massive release. And maybe, Hamish was helping to like release everything. And
Hamish was releasing his diarrhea. That's what Hamish was releasing. Poor Hamish. And that was also crap. Like,
Right.
That was also really, really
figuratively
shitty.
and literally it was crap.
But you know why? Because you're navigating this, and he's a beautiful life partner, and he does shamanic healing, and he holds a beautiful space, and he's very much in his feminine energy, which meaning like he's chill, he's nature, he's safe. And I'm like in the masculine, like, let's go do the things. And we work really well. And he was laid up on the bed in downtown Boston, knocked out. He could not move. So then I'm literally like trying to navigate the logistics of like power of attorney, driving to a nursing home, got my kids. And I think that part for me was like, I'm sure that's what's going to come up in therapy more than anything was like, you have no one supporting you. He can't. He would love to, but he's literally sick. So like, you got to do this by yourself. Have fun.
Right.
And I was just like, it's funny how I thought I was resilient. And now I'm like, oh no, we can deal with even more. Oh, I can take even more. And then I'm like, wow. So like, I feel like now I feel pretty good because we've been in Florida for 10 days and it took 5 days to really regulate, like really for us to regulate. We did nothing. We just sat there and just tried to breathe because it's hot as hell down there. Oh my God, the humidity.
Yeah, it is. It's so humid right now.
My
It's
kids,
crazy.
I'm like, he's like, you saw my son, he's like Puerto Rican and Sri Lankan, like island kids. And he's like, I can't deal with this heat.
Sharna's in Houston right now, and she said it's like 90-something degrees and 100% humidity.
Oh yeah, like I believe that.
Ridiculous.
You can't, like 10 a.m. You're like,
No.
okay, I've had enough. Where's the air
terrible.
conditioning?
Yeah, right.
So like, I feel good now. I feel like we've been through so much that like, when things have to catch up and I'm like, we're just still here. We're doing it. I feel happy. I feel really grateful to be here. I feel like I'm going to leave America and not think it was so unsafe. No, he goes, hey, your kids haven't been stolen. No one's pulled a gun on you. And
true.
Hamish is like, this is ridiculous. But I'm like, baby, I have it lived in my body. Like, I've had all that bad stuff happen. Like, he has no idea because he's had a beautiful, safe life in Australia.
Which is why maybe this experience, though, has happened. Because your body needed to experience, like, okay, it's not always like that.
Yeah, like this can be safe. Like,
I can walk on the
reclaim it.
cliff's edge and look over and go, oh, it's a beautiful cliff, and not fall every single time when I'm on the cliff's edge.
And that's really the beauty of it. It's like now I'm coming back in April to speak in LA. I know that like the gates will open for the things, and maybe they were always there, but I wasn't ready
closed
to.
them.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So so I'm happy, but it's also what a beautiful place. Like what a gorgeous place. What amazing people. Like the service here. If you ever go to Australia, sorry Australia, but
I've
it is
been
the
to
worst.
Australia.
You did go.
Yeah.
Were you like no customer service, Randy? Like
Really?
zero.
Well,
Zero.
are you talking about Melbourne? Because in Sydney it wasn't that bad.
They just get paid like $40 an hour and they don't give a shit and nobody gets tips. So like now we have
they
QR
don't
codes
really
everywhere
work
and we're
off
like,
the
yay,
system.
I'd rather order with the QR code than the human that's literally here.
That's
like
not.
no,
that
it's
doesn't say a lot.
So I do miss the
But
friendliness.
the coffee is delicious.
But the coffee is good. That's it. You won't get shot.
Let's end on a high
Right.
note.
You ain't gonna get
Australia,
shot.
Right.
Coffee's delicious.
And there's no homeless people. So no.
Let's go. Let's detour.
Yes.
Yeah.
To confidence.
Yes.
I was just going to do the exact same thing. Like,
Let's do it.
please.
Because you're known as the queen of confidence. And it's interesting because we've started off, in the first 10, 15 minutes of this talking about, as you say, all the fuckery, all the stuff that has happened, your life trajectory and all the things that you've lived have been really hard.
Should have bred a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
And you've gone the opposite
But
way.
I think that's what it takes to get confidence. Like, rarely do people come out of the womb confident. And I think it's important to at least start with your definition of confidence, because too many people think of confidence as how you view someone else, not how you feel in yourself. And I look at confidence, I mean, we're both coaches, we coach people. I look at confidence as how you feel within your body, how you see yourself.
Yeah, I love that.
What your truth is. How do you define it?
I love that. I think, unfortunately, in my first book, I didn't add this definition, because when you love something, you research it, and you're never done. I'm never done researching and studying confidence. But the definition that I love, it's the definition of the root word and what it actually means. And for me, I just love it. And if anybody's listening to this, I hope it helps you make it more viable for you. But it was basically confidencia, right? Which in Spanish, confianza means trust. So in Spanish, we don't have a word for our English confidence. It literally means trust. And so the definition, it's the Latin root word. It's like to trust yourself, to have trust in yourself and your abilities. And I'm like, oh my God. So if you lack confidence, where are you breaking trust with yourself? I'll get up at 5 a.m. and you snooze. That breaks your trust. And people are like, is it that simple? Of course it is. Every little breaking of your own trust, your own trusting of yourself, that makes you feel like you lack and you don't believe. And so for me, confidence is really your ability to trust yourself. Can you trust yourself? I don't know how the hell to do this, but I trust I'm going to figure it out. I trust that I can work it out. That's like, for me, that's what confidence is. And so it's not red lipstick. It's not cheetah print. It's not a Maserati. It's not your bank account. It's not your biceps. It's not other people's opinions.
Okay, so I'm going to get rid of my cheetah print pants, because I've been rocking those for like 2 weeks now.
I'm sure they look great on you, though.
That was the definition
Does
of
it give you confidence?
Do you feel
apparently
sexy?
Apparently not.
Do you trust it?
Because I'm not trusting in the feeling that I have when I'm wearing those pants.
Right. So where along the lines did you say, you know what? I'm going to be the queen of confidence. I'm going to brand myself as that, because that's bold.
That's bold.
It is bold.
And when you said it, I don't know if you could see my face. I was kind of like, ugh, I am the queen of confidence.
So when I first saw your name come up and knew that you were coming as a guest, my first thought was like, Queen of Confidence. That's like,
this bitch?
That's really like, that is a big, like, I'm going to wear like the knuckle rings and the necklace and the thing and like claim that, I'm the queen of, and then the more that I researched and read your story and watched clips that you had done, I really, from my perspective, realized that you are pushing more this sense of helping everyone find that queen of confidence that's lacking within them.
Yes.
So you're just leading them to that and helping them find that on their own.
Yeah.
So it's not so much like hey, I've got Queen of Confidence shirts on and I'm selling all the merch of the stuff. It's like not the name of my album and things like that.
Well, my husband actually made me own the name. And it's the truth, because before that it was called the Queen of Curves. I was a stylist. I was helping women look really nice and stylish. And to be honest, I wish it was like a crafted, thoughtful thing. But I was just like, curvy, I'm curvy, Queen of Curves. I like it. And it wasn't like, I am the Queen of Curves. It was like the Queen of Curves.
Right.
And then I was running these styling events and realizing I was going through my own healing journey with my own therapists and coaches and shamans. And I was like, who cares about the way you look? Who cares about your outfit? Who cares about your hair? If you look in the mirror and you're like, I hate myself. Right. Like, who cares about what we're wearing? So it was like I was culling women's wardrobes, and I needed to be culling the internal thoughts and the beliefs, and like, throw that one away. That you've had that for 10 years. It doesn't fit you anymore. So like, that's what I wanted to start doing. And then when I thought about the word, what do women really want? I was like, they want confidence. It was one of those like shower wisdom moments, when there's no kids.
I love those.
Right. Shower wisdom. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, that's it. And then he's like, you're the queen of confidence. I'm like, oh no, I'm not the queen of confidence. And he's like, honey, people need a leader. Yeah. You need to lead the people. And then I was like, okay, how do we flip this? And then I'm like, she's my alter ego, like Sasha Fierce, like Batman, Superman, like Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Maybe not Peter Parker, because he's actually
Borat.
Yeah, there you go. Borat. I do have that G-string. I love it. Just it's like shit. She's my alter ego. So like, I really believe that every woman is a queen. Every woman,
alter ego.
She's your alter ego. Okay.
I love that.
So I was like, okay, I can do this. And so she has a, like, have you seen The Alter Ego Effect? Todd Herman, that book. Okay, amazing dude, amazing book. It's like clothed cognition. So it's like when you wear the thing, and sports people do it. They put the socks on and the watch, and so like the hat and
right into
you
that.
become.
It's what they say about acting. Like when you get on a set and you put on wardrobe, it's like, okay, now I feel like the character.
Yes, and so, and I want to say it's not fake it till you make it, because I fucking hate that shit so much. Stop saying that to each other, please. Let's not make that cool, because faking it means you're not real, and then till you make it says that we're going. Where the hell are we going? Where are we going? Nowhere. So it's like, I really wanted to just have this thing that it was like, hey, you're a queen. You can be confident. You can step into your, and I don't have like the queen, like we're American. I'm not actually Australian where they're like connected to the queen, zero queen thing. So I didn't even really like the queen thing. I was like, I'm not the queen. Mm-hmm. But then Hamish was like, let's go, like step into it. And I'll tell you what, the minute that I reframed it, and the business is about like coaching. It's about other people. It's not about Erika. It's not called Erika Cramer, right? It's like queen of confidence, like you're a queen. And so I felt like I wanted
it's not, I'm the queen of confidence,
yes,
which is what I noticed as I was reading it. I was like, okay, she's not making the claim of like she has a scepter and she's the one in the throne and you're all my subjects. It was like helping you all.
Yep. And I also like that people are like, who the hell do you think you are? And then they want to get closer. And then I'm like, come. And then like, oh, okay, this is fun. But I do like that. Like if you're not pissing someone off or you're not making someone question something, like what are you actually doing? You're vanilla, boring, blending in, one size fits all. Who wants to do that? There's too many people in the world. Like we have to be who we are. And so, that moment came for me and I was like, I really want to do this. And then I think because of all the shit that I've been through, like I'm allowed to tell you to stop being a victim and actually heal and actually take responsibility for how you show up and stop pointing outward and look inside. Like I'm allowed to tell you that because let me go ahead and show you Exhibit A, Exhibit C, B, D, E, F, whatever. And then I look to other women who've had difficulties and horrific stories. You guys talk to these people too. And it's like, hold on, if they can do this, why can't I do this? And so I want it to be an invitation to step into who you know yourself to be, which is an incredible human being who came for more and not settle for the bullshit, especially not the bullshit you tell yourself. Like overcome yourself. There's no obstacle.
That's a really hard step, though, I think, for people to take. Like
huge.
I know for years in my life, all I wanted to do was blend in. Like I wanted to not ruffle feathers, not make waves, not wear anything that was too flashy. Like I wanted to beanie up and baseball hat and like just blend into the crowd.
Yeah.
And it's a tough choice for people to make of I'm going to own who I am. And I mean, what would you, if someone came to you and was like, I'm lost, what's the first thing you would tell them to start doing in that moment if they wanted to make that shift? Because it is a big shift.
Totally. And I just want to acknowledge what you said about that because it sounded like you wanted to become invisible.
I did.
You know?
For sure.
Don't see me. Don't look at me.
Yeah.
I'm not really here. And obviously...
Don't talk about me because I know if you are, you're not going to be saying good things.
Yes. And even just looking at that, Brian, it's like, what is already in there that you believe that if somebody triggered, you'd be like, oh no, it's already in us. And so obviously childhood and stuff that we all go through. So I think that the first thing is, I don't care who you are or what kind of life you've had, you must work on yourself. And that could be therapy. Please get a good therapist because there's so much shit therapy out there. That could be spirituality, whatever that is. That could be coaching. I love coaching. I think coaching is amazing because it
could be religion.
It could be religion if that's your whatever floats your boat.
Right. Yeah.
But like,
whatever takes you to that next level.
But like people go, I don't have trauma, and they see my story and they're like, I have nothing like that. I'm like, let me be honest, I don't even have that story. That story, that's crazy. My story, I don't even resonate with that. My life is pretty amazing.
That story's
now.
not me anymore.
Yeah, and so you don't have to have this crazy story. We all lived through the pandemic. That's enough trauma to ruin your life. Like I studied with Dr. Gabor Mate, and he said that if you're 6 weeks old and you're in the crib and you cry for your mom and she turns your back on you, that's enough trauma to ruin your whole life as a baby, like what you make that mean. And I'm like, well, we all have stuff. So the first thing I would say is, do you have a growth mindset? Do you have, and that doesn't mean you're always thinking about growing, but do you believe and do you want to improve your life? Do you feel like there's things you could do to have a better life? First and foremost. Second of all, a lot of women say to me, I don't know who I am. And I'm like, that's great. And they're like, what do you mean? And then there's some women that I'm like, you don't know who you are. And they're like, I know who I am. And I'm like, you don't. And then they get really pissed off, which I think is great because I just go to them, if you know who you are, then you're living off of an identity that you believe you are, and then you're not changing and shifting and growing. And so if you're listening to this, who you were 6 months ago, is it who you are now? No. Who you're going to be in 2 years, is it who you are today? No. So can we agree that you're always shifting, evolving, and changing in some way, shape, or form? We are. We're always changing. So then I can't know who I am. Consider that's your ego saying, I am an $80K a month earner. I am a mother. What about when your kids leave? Now you're not. You're an empty nester. I am a Maserati. I am a bank account. I am my body. Your body changes every 4 weeks. You have new skin. Like, you're not who you think you are. So I say to people, you don't know who you are, but I would say, who are you not? Ask yourself who you're not. Oh, I'm not that. Let that layer come off. I'm not that. And just start to shed who you're not. And the more we let go of who we're not, I feel like it allows us to start to investigate and find who we really are.
It's a really interesting process.
I agree with you completely. I wrote something like that in my book back in 2014 about what is the ultimate role, and looking at the roles that we identify with. Like, I'm a father, I'm a coach, I'm a son, I'm a little brother, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a people pleaser, I'm that, you know, all these things, and realizing, but what's underneath? What's underneath? What is constant? And coming to a place of, and I know everyone might not identify with this, what is constant within me, and settling there as to be like the ultimate role. Because all those things, those roles are going to change. As you know, we're creative, and one project that we have leads to another project, and kids get older, and sometimes partners change.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's my consciousness? Where's the soul self? Who's that being that's in there that no matter what has got me?
That's hard to find too.
It's hard to
it
find.
It takes like excavating, and it's not an overnight thing.
Peeling back that onion is not an easy thing to do.
Right, and something I love about you and your work is that you have this title, Queen of Confidence, and yet every day you are real, you're raw, you are crying, you're laughing, you're bold, you're brazen at times, but you're so real because you're doing the work. As you're helping others do the work, you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And that is one of my favorite things to see about teachers and coaches and helpers and healers. When people put on this posture of,
when they talk the talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then
walking the walk is the hard part.
And showing it.
Yeah.
And being like, hey, I am imperfect, and here's what I'm going through, and this is what's hard. That is
It's what we always talk about here with people of like, you know, we don't want to for a second make people think that living this way is easy for anyone. Because it's not. Every single day I'm questioning like, oh my God, it'd be so nice to just not have to think for a second and just like be and explode emotionally and do whatever I feel.
Be yourself.
Oh my God, that's so much easier.
Yeah.
So like, this is not, you know, speaking to someone about this, we are in no way, I don't feel condoning like, oh, this is easy.
Oh, no.
You know, once you start doing it again, it's easy. It's like, no, it becomes more natural and some because we practice it all the time. But it's not my first, like the first thing I want to do when something pisses me off is I want to yell and I want to throw something and I want to slam a door and I want to break a glass and throw a plate, you know,
as long as we can get that behind the scenes.
Be Godzilla.
Totally, right?
Are you Puerto Rican?
But I want to be Godzilla. And then you go, okay, who do I like really want to
get it
so
together.
I take that second, and then it's become easier for me to take that second and go, okay, this is who I want to be and this is how I want to handle it.
That's practice though.
It is.
And because you want to.
Yeah.
It's awareness, it's wanting, it's trying, it's, you know, I think I wrote the book Confidence Feels Like Shit because I wanted people to know, and it's like the subtitle's like the truth about confidence and what it really takes to create it, which is not, no offense, I'm not a fan of affirmations because most of us don't believe the shit we say. It's just, you don't believe it, so it's not going to work. I'm not a fan of like, oh, just look really nice and you'll feel confident. Oh, let me show you the posture and then power pose. That's not going to work. It's very like surface level. And so It was the first thing for me. I kept hearing, if you were only more confident, then you would have. If only this person was more confident, then, and I'm like, does anyone understand the jungle of shit you need to walk through to build confidence? Like, you're in this, I feel like it's like a jungle and you're crawling and monkeys are throwing poo at your face and you're getting like scratched and you're like, ugh. And then you get on the TEDx stage and literally sweat and you like just did a spiritual poo and your legs are all shaking. But they edit spiritual poo. Y'all know what that is. It's right before.
Yeah, you need some of that merch. I want to buy a spiritual poo mug or something.
I will say it was one of my mentors, Tanja, that made that up. To shout out to, like your Steve Harvey.
All right.
But like maybe she didn't make it up. Who knows? But like it's a thing.
If she doesn't have the merch,
she didn't make it up.
And be like, listen, I'll give you 10%.
Maybe not. No, you get on the stage and you're like, you do your TEDx talk. People go, oh my God, Brian, you did a TEDx. You're so amazing. And I'm like, but did you see when I got scratched? Did you see me do the spiritual poo? Did you see me like get shit on my face? Did you see no one saw that. And it that pisses me off because none of this shit is easy. To do this podcast, to get on a plane, to get here, to organize kids, to live this life behind the scenes, this reels, highlight reel. People don't see what it takes. And so I was like, fuck that. I'm not going to talk the talk. I used to love watching J-Lo. She'd be like, and I'd be like young, like in high school. And I was like, J-Lo's in competition with me. Like, I'm going to be like her. And then she'd do something. And I'm like, I got you, J-Lo. I'm going to do a talent show at high school. Like, I thought we were. Anyway, we weren't. But I loved her so much.
Right.
Yeah. And then she would do this interview. And they were like, what do you say to the young girls that want to be like you? And she'd be like, and I love you, J-Lo. I'm just saying. You could have gave a phone number. She was like, just believe in your dreams. And I was like, is there no email? Is there no... Wait, no, give me a person.
Right. How do I do that?
What school do I go to? Yeah, what? So I was like, fuck that. I want to show the messy, the becoming. What's the process of becoming? Like, people that followed me saw me when I had 1,000 followers, which I think is great, by the way. That's 1,000 eyeballs. That's people that want to see you. Yeah. And I was trying to build. No one watched my lives. No one gave a shit what I was doing. Why should they? I didn't have the credibility yet. And I would show up and I would do the thing. And they saw me go from all the things I went to still where I am. And everyone who meets me, they're like, you're a crazy ass person on Instagram in real life. Like, my poor husband does breath work because I am a little bit energized. I'm like, sorry, Hamish, but you keep doing your breath work. And it's important. So I want to show, how does the queen of confidence, I lack confidence on the daily. Mm-hmm. It is a practice like yoga, like meditation. You don't arrive at meditated. There's no arriving. Right. I'm not confident. I'm not a confident woman. I'm a woman who's practicing confidence all the fucking time, and then a bird shits on my head in public, and I'm like, don't feel really confident. Totally. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, so I feel like there's no getting to this place. There's no destination. This is the work. Right.
I haven't arrived somewhere, and it took all of the knowledge from all these other people for me to be in the place I am right now. Like, I don't claim that I made up the things that I talk about, or that my own great mind has created. It's like, no, I have. My knowledge has ridden on the backs of tons of people and tons of experience and tons of things. And so I'm just sharing things that I have learned, that I've gained.
But you're living it as well. That's the part that I think is, it's easy to get on camera and say, you should do this, and here are the 5 steps. And people love the icing. They love all the frosty, 5 steps, 10 tips, dopamine, TikTok, quick things. And it's like, I also refuse to do that. I'm like, fuck that. It's not that easy. I need you to sit your ass down. I need you to get your head on paper. I need you to journal. I need you to spend half an hour with yourself. You got to reflect. You got to contemplate.
What was the moment in your life, though, what was that light bulb moment? Because I know, for me, health, I came out of my health struggles. It was a 4.5-year ordeal for me. And I literally came out and I was like, I'm done being the person that I was. Was there a moment for you that really was the light bulb moment or the switch where you were like, I'm done being who I was and I want to find something new?
Yeah. I did have a moment. There's many, obviously. I don't think anytime there's one, but there was one that got me onto this journey. And it was when I moved to Sydney, Australia for this man that I met in Las Vegas. I don't recommend doing that. Bad idea. But I did do that, and he was a jerk. And it took me...
Except, don't recommend doing it, yet here
I am.
Here.
I
That's
always
true.
say to people,
so rewind. You can do it. Go for it.
If people,
choose the bad
they
man.
ask me, if you could go back in time and change things...
No, I say never. Of course not. You're right. Thank you. That's true. But I feel like we attract who we are. And I'm a piece of shit. I'm broken. I'm damaged. I'm messed up. God hates me, whatever. If there is a God, I was in that space. So, of course, I attracted someone that goes, hi, let me prove to you all the things you believe about yourself. Mm-hmm. So he got me to Australia. I stayed 11 months and then realized he was actually not a kind person. I'm not going to use a narcissist word because I feel like it's used so much and I can't say if he is, but he was a douche, basically. Okay. So then I left that and I moved to Melbourne for a guy that looks just like him, but wasn't him. Like, basically same guy, different face. Mm-hmm. Okay. And of course, hadn't learned the lesson. And then he broke up with me on my birthday. Nice guy. On my birthday, I got broken up with. I was personal training with my husband now, Hamish. He was my personal trainer. Yeah. And he was a nice guy. He's like, for the record, I wasn't the sleazy trainer. She was the sleazy client. I'm like, that is true. Right. So he was a nice guy. He had been doing the work. I didn't know what that meant. And I got broken up with, and it was my birthday, and I looked in the mirror. And women, maybe some men, but women definitely look in the mirror a lot. We look in the mirror all the time, I had looked in the mirror thousands of times. But this was like, I looked in my eyeballs, and then I could see, and I was like, shit. Like, you're the common denominator. We can't blame your mom, like you can't blame your husband's death. You can't blame that guy. You can't blame that guy. Like, it's you. It's you against you. And like, you got to get this shit together. And it was like my moment of like, it's me. And it was horrific. And I cried a lot, but it was also, oh, it's me. I can do something about this. And at the time I was really into Wayne Dyer. He was like my spirit animal. He helped me with my anger, letting go of blame. Like Wayne Dyer was just such medicine for me at that time because I was angry as well, throwing plates and trying to fight with people because I was from Boston and I was like, yo, I will fuck you up. Let's go. Right. Like, actually, they do that just in case.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, why didn't that work?
Right. Totally.
Why didn't that work? Anyway, costume issue. So I was like, okay, it's me. And then my husband, Hamish, was like, I know this lady. She was a clairvoyant life coach. And I'm like, a what? What is this? I wasn't spiritual at all. And so I just started that journey. And it was through getting broken up with, through coming all the way to Australia, thinking that I left all my shit back in America.
Starting over.
Let me just say, no matter where you go, your stuff
follows you.
Will follow you across the oceans. Even if you didn't pack it, it just comes with you. And she was amazing. She took me my first session. She was like, let's talk about your death of your husband. And I was like, oh shit.
Oh,
we're going there.
Right. This is getting real really fast.
That was it. And I hadn't unpacked it. And so, yeah, that was my moment. That was like my moment where I needed to do this work, or I decided like, I can't live like this anymore. It's always been me. And I had that realization, and it was sad and hard, but also became good news because I had heard from Wayne, if it's you, you can do something about it. If it's him, you can't change him. And we struggle to change ourselves. Mm-hmm. We struggle to change ourselves. Never mind me trying to change someone else. And so it was really like a permission slip to go, let's start digging into all the stuff that you keep like pushing down. And everyone has stuff. I don't care what you think. We all have stuff. And if you don't look at it, it will pop up in your life and it will just keep popping up in different ways. And I was just done. I was like, okay.
You were ready to finally look at what was
I was ready. I was like, okay. And it was 8 years. And it's so funny. I talked to a lot of coaches and they're like, they do coaching for like 3 months and they're like, oh my God, I love this. I've healed my life. I'm going to become a coach for coaches and teach other people. And I'm like, oh, baby. I'm like, no, you have so much more. But we try to go, I did a little bit. Now let me help someone else. I didn't want to help anyone. For 8 years, I was like, I don't care about humans. I don't give a shit about anyone else. I barely cared about myself. My self-worth was so low. I lacked confidence. I didn't know who I was. All the things I see in my clients, I'm like, I have walked through those flames. I have burned and I'm come to the other side. So when they're in it, I have invested and wanted to throw up. Like I've done all of it. And I think because it's in my body, I'm allowed to walk them through it. And they see, because I've shared it, that they're like, I get metaphorically naked, basically. I'm like, look at all my shit. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, are you feeling good? They're like, yep, let's do this. But if I was perfect and amazing and not disclosing what's happened to me, how am I expecting? I'd be just like a therapist.
Of what
bad
they
therapist.
aren't. Yeah.
Exactly. So then they're like, you're up here, I'm down here. And so that got me kind of started. And then in 2017, I had a home birth. I never thought I'd be a home birth person, but anyway, it's amazing. I had a home birth with a little guy.
Like amazing spiritually?
Like amazing.
Not amazing.
Not bloody.
Physically.
I thought it would be bloody and gross.
Right,
it was not.
Hurts.
No, but it was good.
Assume.
It was good.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually It was amazing. It was amazing.
Because I always question people a little bit that are like, oh, home birth. It's like,
no.
It is.
Really?
My wife has had both. We've had both.
Yes,
And
same.
we tried for the first one,
Yep.
and it didn't work
Same.
at the end. And then the second one, we had a home birth. It is a beautiful experience.
It was next level.
It
was.
Yeah.
I had the cesarean.
Was it beautiful for you though? Because you're on the outside of it and you're watching and you're going, oh, you
your
can do
ass
this.
wasn't
You can do this, sweetie.
Let me
Like,
tell you something.
You're doing great. Just breathe.
Let me tell you
Just
something.
breathe with me.
I wanted to be the best birth partner possible.
Yeah.
We went to like 2 different classes. I was reading books. 2.5 to 3 days. I'm not saying, oh, poor me, because she had to do all the work.
Of course, but it is a big thing for you.
My daughter's head was asynclitic, so it was turned to the side and couldn't come out of the cervix for the cervix to open up. So she was having all back labor pain, and I had to, with all my strength, every contraction, push on her back.
Yeah.
Every contraction for pretty much 2.5 to 3 days until we had to get to the hospital. And I'm trying to keep up with her, and I'm like, I can't function anymore. I'm so tired.
Would your wife also say that home birth was like a beautiful experience, or is she like, never again?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, for sure.
The fucking
Really?
best.
It was in my
fucking best.
daughter's room.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
In a pool. We got in the pool.
Like a
it was
blow-up
it
tub.
was like 4 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours from start to finish versus 3 days. And at home.
Yeah.
And you literally, instead of going through all the things and the testing and the marking and the fingerprints.
And they're invasive. Okay, imagine taking a shit, right? Taking a shit, right? This is where we're going. And a doctor walks in.
Right.
First of all,
Stay with me here.
Stay with
This
me.
is the ride
You're
we're on.
taking a shit.
Yeah.
You don't have your phone, so you're focused on the shit, right? And then a person that's a stranger flicks on the lights.
The direction this conversation is
Like,
going.
are you visually seeing?
Yeah.
He turns on the lights and he opens the door. Hi. And you're like, your asshole instantly goes,
Right.
because you're not like, oh, hey, stranger. Like, that's
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
So in a hospital, all the bright lights, your body literally is contracting every time they turn on the lights, every time doctor, nurses change. Literally, it's like the most invasive, like, ugh, you're like intruded. And I was not. I was 18 years old living in LA going, when I have a baby, I'm going to like get it cut out and then get like, what is that called? Whatever that called, a tummy tuck, and like get it all done. Like, I don't want to ruin my vagina. I was that 18-year-old.
Yeah.
I was that 18-year-old. No judgment if that's you. Do you, boo? But then to have like a horrific cesarean birth when I wanted it natural. Then we had a miscarriage, which was like a hot mess. And then to have a home birth, I'm like, again, street cred. I get to talk about this
Was
because
this with your first husband?
with Hamish. No, with this
Hamish.
husband. Yeah, my husband who passed, he was 20. I was 23. He was 24. So we didn't have any children.
Okay.
But we were together for like 7 years, high school sweetheart, like all that. So it actually is an incredible process when you're undisturbed. And I think hospital equals sick, and women aren't sick. And even TV shows like The Bear. Did you watch Bear? The cooking one?
I watched the
Oh
first
my
season
God,
of it.
Very stressful. But like in the second season, his sister has the baby. And even in a show like that, which I feel like is so incredible, cinematic, beautiful, 2024, the woman's still going, push, push. Nobody fucking says that to you when you're actually having a baby. Like, that's not real. Like, you know when to push. Your vagina's on fire in a good way because the baby's coming. Like, it's so, I think the way that Hollywood has done it has ruined it for women. And obviously men have no idea now because of that. So it's actually an incredible process. We had all the safety protocols. It wasn't like, I wasn't free birthing, although that's also a thing. I can't speak to that. I wouldn't do that. But, you know, it's like, it's an amazing
Wait,
process.
what is free birthing?
It's nobody. Nobody's there. You don't talk to anyone
So
about
you're
it. You
just
do
alone
it. You
in
and
a-
your partner on a beach or some shit.
my
And
God.
It's a whole thing. You should definitely find someone and have to talk about it
That
because
sounds
it is a thing.
Oh my
I know, but
God.
it's our conditioning of like hospitals,
Right.
doctors, nurses, like an OBGYN or whatever they're called. They are a surgeon. So women go to these guys. They're a surgeon. You don't want that motherfucker at your birth. They're technically there to cut your stomach 7 layers. The healing from 7 layers, you can't even hold your child. Like, when did that become normal? Like, cesarean rates are so high, and
So
it's
high
normal.
now,
It's
these
like,
days.
that's not normal.
Yeah.
Normal is...
And again, no judgment on
No,
this
but
whatsoever.
I mean, like, no judgment, but I also, like, I will say, like, women have zero education. I got this from older, like, witchy women that were older, and I didn't know. I was like, I'm scared to birth. Like, dogs aren't scared to birth. You're not scared to poo. You're not scared to pee. Body poos, body pees, body sleeps. You don't go, body, why do you have to sleep? Because it has to, like, you don't question it. But with this, it's like anyway, so Nava's born. I had him at home. It was amazing. And I, again, was in the shower, and I heard, like, what the fuck are you doing with the Queen of Confidence? Because I was working for L'Oreal, doing hair, doing my little side hustle. And I ran down the stairs and I was like, I'm not going back to work when this baby, like, I'm not going back to work. I'm going to start my coaching business. We were so broke. My husband had a gym. The gym was sucking. There was no, like, we weren't doing well financially at all. And I had this 2-year-old and my new baby.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm not going back to work. My $90K a year, like, job. And he's just like, my husband's brown. He turned white. He was like, excuse, what?
Wait,
Are
what
you
do you
crazy?
mean you're not going back to work?
He's like, are you crazy? I was like, I'm American. I pulled the American card for the first time in our relationship. It's like, I'm American. I'm from the hood. I got the grit. I was like, I'm doing this. He was just like, okay, honey, if you're sure. And like we launched, and that was probably the second like moment where I was like, what are you waiting for? Like, you almost died. You broke your back. You lost your husband. Like, you've been at this job you hate. Like, when are you going to listen to the call? Like, it's knocking. And everybody knows what that feels like, where you, not right now, not right now. And then I launched it in 2017. And like that first year we blew up the business.
How did you launch it?
I launched it with Instagram and a podcast in my car.
In
with,
your
like,
car,
my
that's
Apple
right.
headphones.
Yeah.
Horrific audio. But people
But it's still audio.
loved it. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, I'm like,
was
is anybody
real.
listening? I don't care. Like, my e-tag's beeping because we have no money. It's like, My hoops are hitting my Apple headphones. Can you imagine doing this podcast with Apple?
Yes, I can.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
wired, like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, if Gary Vee can eat chicken wings and still record, bless your
yeah,
soul,
yeah.
we can do
Right,
it. So
right.
women loved it. They were just like, oh my God. And then the podcast took off, the Instagram started growing, and then I started doing events because I love humans. I love seeing people and hugging people and being in real life. And we just did live event. And so it was like the first year we made 160K. I'm like, I'm a chick from the hood who grew up on food stamps. And my husband's like,
Holy crap.
what? Like,
Right.
my gym's not doing that. And then
Right.
the next year we did $500,000. And I think it's important for women of color to talk about money, anyone to talk about money. But I was like, I'm not smart or educated traditionally. And like, we built this business that was to help and impact others. And from social media, which is a free platform, we were able to do this. And then it just was like, holy shit.
It's amazing.
I know. It was just
It's
great.
amazing.
It was great to be able to do. And now I love what I get to do.
We talk about it all the time because our first season of this show was just audio. So we were doing Zoom with a lot of people.
saw.
And so it's been so nice now this season to
Yeah.
be sitting with people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like one of our ultimate goals is to be doing live things across the country. Like, yeah.
Tour.
Yeah.
The Oldish goes on tour.
Because that is we're the same way. I love sitting
That'd
with
be
people.
amazing.
And I love
Well-
hugging them and I love connecting with them.
Exactly.
Yes.
I love it.
And you might feel like this too. Like, for so long, I mean, I've been coaching people for 16, almost
Wow.
17 years. But it's the co-creation
Yeah.
when other people are in there. Like, I could sit and talk and talk and talk, and it's great to interview people. But when people are there,
Yeah.
that's when it's like I'm receiving information, and I'm like, let's do
That's when
this.
the energy
Let's
is
go
in
the room.
And
Yes.
that's what I love,
Yes,
that
yes.
transformative quality of what is all of this? We're
Yeah.
we're all in this together. We've all gone through a lot of shit.
It's
Yeah.
what they say, like the church experiences for people is like
But for
everybody
real.
being in
Yeah.
a room
I
together.
love a cult, okay, Brian? I'm a
feeling-
cult
yeah.
girl.
Totally.
I am that's another episode. We'll talk about that
the
next time.
outcomes might be a little questionable, but yeah, it's the reason that we're all together is
Yeah.
that it's like it's the collective energy when everybody is in a room.
Oh, it's so good.
Feeling
Yes.
the same way and wanting to kind of come together. It's
It's an
amazing what can
experience.
come.
Yes.
And that's what you were talking about before. The affirmations doesn't always create an experience.
Yes.
And that's why embodying something and having an actual, and it could be a dishwashing moment
Yep.
where you've thought about forgiveness or you've thought
Yeah.
about presence.
It usually is.
Right? It is. It's folding
usually
laundry,
not
it's
sexy,
dishwashing,
you know?
it's the shower,
Yep.
it's the toilet, and all brushing teeth. And all of a
I
sudden,
wish it was sexy, but it's
right?
not.
But it's not. But it's
So
Yeah,
always
it's
brushing my
not.
teeth.
a lot of time it's in the mundane
Yeah.
where you have this awareness and you go, presence. Like, I know it's important to be present, but I'm washing the dishes and the water's hitting my hands and this I'm getting this stain off the plate before I put it in the dishwasher or whatever, and you're going, you know what? This is life.
Yeah.
There is no arrival of some place that I have to get to. You know, the whole Buddhist philosophy.
Yes.
Before enlightenment, you chop wood, carry water. And
Yeah.
after enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water.
Yeah.
You still carry on. So, you know, having an experience of something, and you know this when, I'm sure when you talk to people too, like that light bulb comes on when they come online and they go, I feel
Yeah.
different leaving this
Yeah,
interaction.
yeah.
That's it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's beautiful in human connection with experiences and people. And I speak a lot on stage, and I don't mind the stage, but I'm like the mosh pit after, like the humans.
Right.
I'm just like, let me in. Like the cleaners will come, and I'm at the event, and I'm there, and I don't like no judgment to the speakers that go in and out, but I'm like, can I come before? Because I want to know what's happening in the continuity and the jokes that I can bring from the person before. Can I stay after? Because those people that you speak to after, like, if I ever am tired of someone sending me a DM about this episode and what this did for them, goodbye to this job. If you don't want to know about, like, this is why we do this.
Right. The after is to hear from everybody, like, what's been affected and what they've taken away from it. And that is, like, it's the effect of it all. Like, I love seeing the results from it.
Yes.
We can all sit and talk about, like, what the results should be. Like, God, to get them, to get a letter of, like, oh, my God, this is how the podcast has affected me. We cry over those.
Or your beautiful
like,
reviews. Like,
oh my God, we'll get these, like, people will reach out, and it's heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
And it's what keeps us going.
Yeah.
It's what keeps this happening.
Totally.
And that's circle back with what we said with, like, social media and the realness. Like, the reason why I have a life story video is not because who gives a shit. I don't start with that. Who cares about your story? Nobody cares about your story until they know you give a shit about them, until they know that you're going to add value to them. And so they should. And so, like, the permission, and when I started talking about, to be honest, I don't talk about my story because it's like, and then this happened, and then this, and it's almost like, okay, wait, where are we now? It's so much. And I love visuals. And I'm sure when I'm 65, I'm going to be like a director because I just love film. I love the angles. I love point of view. I love visually seeing certain things. And so I'm like, I need you to tell this story with visuals. And so I have this little life story video, kind of like, do you guys remember Gold Coast or Gold Cast? It was like a Gold Cast, it was called. Where they would do like 1.5 minute Facebooks about like Tony Robbins' life. And it was like a little, it was such a cool idea. So back in the day, I was like, I'm inspired. Can we make something like that I could just play at an event and be like, all right, cool.
Right.
And then people would be like, fuck. And I'm like, all right, so listen to me,
okay,
bitches.
let's do this now. Right.
Come on.
Right.
And then they're like, oh.
Trust me. Yeah, exactly. I'm one of you.
Yeah, like, I get to tell you this. Like, that bit of credibility.
But it's important because if people don't have buy-in.
Yes.
You know, it's like Joe Dispenza. I've been to some of his events before.
Yeah.
And it's funny. There's doctors, there's scientists. But because he's talking about quantum science and quantum physics, and he's breaking it down scientifically, I watched other people because I like to watch rooms. And I was like, and they have buy-in, and they have buy-in, and I saw all these people now. So then some of the spiritual, some of the, okay, how do I use this for myself? It takes hold because there's buy-in. So I'm sure with your story,
totally,
like, oh, okay, you've lived it, you're living it.
Yeah,
I'm going to listen now.
Yeah, and you have to get, I think, raw and real and dirty and bad news and sad story and not all happy-go-lucky because nothing is all happy-go-lucky. Like, this trip has been amazing, but at the first 10 days, literally, I was like, who the hell am I? What? I'm not embodied. I'm not in my body, and I had to like message a friend back home, and I'm like, am I still who I am? I said to my husband today, I put the hat on, and I was like, this is the first time that I've been in America that I feel like I do the Queen of Confidence work. And he was like, I was walking in the hotel. He's like, you look like the Queen of Confidence. And I was holding my book, and I'm like, oh my God. Because the whole time being here, I've just felt like my old traumatized self in Boston, you know? And it's like, but it's important for people that witness or see, like, you're a human that has human experience. No matter how spiritual we can be, we're still going to live in the meat sack, and, you know, we're still going to have this. And if we can show people the work by being it, not just telling people how to do it, like, I think for me, that's my superpower is like, I'm always going to keep it real. I'm not just going to cry on Instagram because that's cute and trendy to cry. Like, do the research. Shit's real. I'm here for you because I'm with you, and we're doing this together.
Oh my God,
you know
just
what I mean?
To share with everyone the experience for you of coming back here and not feeling like the Queen of Confidence for a while and being like, oh my God, because that is, again, it's a jolt of the fucking real world. And like, shit happens, and you're going to have these tests in life, and you're going to have these things come up where you question like, oh my God, am I really who I thought I was?
Yeah.
And so then to come back out of it and go, you know what? I found it. I was walking in the hotel. Those stories.
Brushing my teeth. No.
But those are the things that people relate to because they go, thank God.
Yeah.
And it's not just me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just me that feels like a phony or that like people are gonna figure out that like I'm full of shit, or like I have those moments even sometimes on set where it's like, you know, I worry like, oh my God, they're going to figure out that I'm a fraud.
Oh my
it's
God,
a whole imposter syndrome idea. Like, they're going to find me out.
Right, they're going to figure out that it's just a trick that I've been like doing, you know.
Right. It was just that one time I was really good. I do that about speaking. I'm like, don't talk me up. Like, what if I forget what I'm going to say? Or like,
don't overestimate me.
Can I cancel 5 minutes
I've always been like, keep the bar low. So then like if I rise above it a little bit, it's like, oh, what,
Right.
Yeah, what a success story. Like he did so well. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Two questions for you before we go to our after show. So number one, I know you have talked a lot about investing in yourself, and you invested in yourself doing personal development, self-work, coaching, all of that. And you had no money. You put it on credit card, right? I did. Can you tell people from your perspective, the importance of investing in yourself?
Yes. So I came to Australia with 2 credit cards and they maxed out. And I remember having the opportunity to join what later on we found out was somewhat of a cult. Anyway.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Try not to do that.
I know, don't do that. But
or do, because look at how you turned out. That's the shitty thing about all this.
Only took me 2 years to realize.
Yeah.
But best experience of my life, though. And I guess like when I met my husband, and he had been much more advanced in the work, I would say, like in working on himself and reflection and self-awareness and acceptance. And I was just like, I know that there's stuff that I've been through, and I know that the results I'm continuing to get is because I haven't addressed it. So how I knew was same shitty things keep happening. Patterns are repeating. There's a problem, right? And so my husband had this coach, and he was investing in her weekly. And I just thought, I need to do this. I need to do this because I don't know how to get myself out. I've had all these years of problems, same problems. And so it just became aware to me. And if you're listening, if you repeat the same patterns and the same shit keeps happening, there's a problem. Cool. Maybe you can't help yourself. That's not a weakness. We're not meant to do life alone. We're meant to ask for help, right? So I would find people like how you, Randy, that are like, I've been doing this for 16 years and I've made it into a program that if you do it, because many people don't, but if you do it, if you live the book, if you live the course and you go through with it, you can cut down my 16 years into 6 months. And I was like, oh, I want to know how you did what you did. I'm obsessed with Tony Robbins. I feel like maybe he's my uncle. I don't know, but whatever.
He's your spirit animal, if anything else.
His energy, I'm like, we come from the same place. I love him. And I was like, oh my God, I could just watch what he does.
I love to jump. I love to jump.
Him.
Just like,
I'm just like,
say I.
Totally.
I just need the voice. But anyway, I'm sure that'll happen if I keep speaking. So, right, like I was like, okay, if I follow him, then instead of him living the fuckery of 20 years of problems, I could take the lessons from the shit and then advance faster. That's like just math, right? I was like, okay, cool. And so I didn't have the money. My husband and I were together. We loved each other. It was like one of those relationships where you meet someone and you're like, you're it. It just felt like I just felt different.
It's just there.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
so
easy.
that was it. And I had the opportunity to go to this retreat, which later on became a cult. But anyway, the retreat was $8,000. And my husband said to me, and he's
Jesus
Australian.
Christ.
He's Australian, right? He's like, hey, I have money in the bank account for a ring for you. And I'm a chick from like food stamps. I'm like, how much? He's like, 8. I'm like, oh, you're going to buy me a ring that's $8,000? Oh, no, that's ridiculous. Like, let's spend that money on this retreat. And he was like, what? And I think he was used to women. And again, no shame, do you, boo? But like, I don't want to have a $50K ring on my finger for what? I'm rough. I'm going to mess it up. It's going to break or whatever. So I'm like, I don't care about that. Like, let's take that money and put it at the retreat. And so we did not have a wedding. We never got, like, we got married, but we didn't have a wedding. Mm-hmm. So we could have invested money in a wedding and invite people that we hate and buy $400,000 flowers that are going to die. Anyway, we could have done that. We could have not went to this retreat, and all these opportunities came up. And then there was another coach. And I'm like, credit cards. And I don't know how I knew, Randy, but I was like, if I don't work on me, then nothing I create in my life is going to work. So I was like, I will put all the money into that. And then I will become a different version of myself. And that version of me can make money and pay that off. This version of me is living in scarcity. That's like, I can't afford it. Exactly. Yeah. So I just was like, no, like whatever it takes, we're going to do this. We're going to pour into me, pour into our mindset, and become better humans, become elevated people. We upgrade our fucking iPhone, upgrade your brain. Like your iOS is old as hell. I was like, I need an upgrade. And factory settings aren't going to cut it.
This phone, you can no longer upgrade.
Right.
This one's done.
Seriously.
I need the newest model.
We need an upgrade.
I need to like do this.
Yeah.
So true.
So I believe in it.
Every single person that I have heard who has said what you said, I had the wherewithal to invest in myself, has a story like you.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, everyone that I've heard say that, right?
Yeah.
But there was some decision, some choice, some belief somewhere that, I mean, maybe that is a form of confidence or intuition that you just knew. If I pour into myself, I'm going to be a better version. Because not everyone thinks like that, as
No
you
way.
know. Some people are like, I'm going to hold on to that 8,000 because what if
It's
I
all
need
I've
that
got.
for survival and whatever? And you were like, no. I know that I'm not going to change. Nothing around me is going to change.
That
unless
8,000
I
is just
change.
going to go away like all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't pour, like, I didn't know that I was pouring it into myself. I was possibly maybe like toxic wise going, that man right there has the answers and I'm going to give it to him, but I'm going to learn from him.
Right.
Because I didn't know that, like, you know what I mean? But like, and also that doesn't work. You can buy the course and not do it. And it doesn't magically make you like, I'm going to read your book. Okay, but if you don't become the book, if you don't become the
I'm
program.
so glad you said that.
Because it's full of shit. How many bingers? And I love my bingers. I love you if you binge. But binging doesn't do shit. It's more information and content in your head. And it's not there's like knowledge and knowing. It's like, yeah, I know that. And it's like, you don't know shit. Like, I don't know shit. All I know is that I don't know shit.
Embody.
Walk the fucking
You got to
walk.
do it. You got to do it. Because if not, it's going to do you. Like, if you don't do the work is going to fucking do you.
Yeah.
So it's like, you could choose. It's like, it's doing you. I can see it. You can see it.
Is this merry-go-round fun that you're on, or do you want to like get off and check out some other rides at the fucking amusement park?
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I did a podcast, I think, that was called I Can't Afford It. God, if I've ever done a triggering podcast, it was. And it was me just basically telling you off about, don't fucking say you can't afford it, because how much do you pay for gin and cigarettes and nails and lashes and bullshit and Netflix?
Coffee.
You're full of shit.
Right.
Like, shut up.
Monthly, what I spend for just nails is
I know. I
unbelievable.
can imagine your toenails
Crazy.
and all the buffing. And
So high maintenance. So high maintenance.
oh, shit.
Last question.
Yes.
I got a chance to meet your kids.
Oh, yeah.
They were cute. They were wonderful, beautiful.
Crazy.
And it's so, it's a treat to know you sort of online, right? And through Instagram and whatnot. But then to see you in person, to feel your energy, to meet your husband and your kids. What do you want your kids to say about you when they are your age?
Damn,
Randy goes hard in the paint sometimes.
I feel like,
He
that's
goes
like
fucking right into the heart.
therapy. This feels like the after party
Yes.
already.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, what do I want them to say?
When they're sitting where you are.
Yeah. Oh, I would just love for them to say and to more so not say, but to feel like my mom was a warrior who gave a shit about humans, and she was a magnetic person who cared about people, old people. She just cared about people, and it was her mission to be with people and support people, and like dedicated her energy to supporting people to be better. And so my son, who's like 6-year-old, he says, Mommy helps the people. That's what he says about me. He goes, yeah, Mommy, you're going to go help the people? I was like, yep, I'm going to go help the people. And it's like that kills me, because I'm like, that's what we're here to do. We're not here to live this life alone. We're not here to be cool and amazing on our own. Like, we're here to be with the people. And it's like, fuck, if you can be better, or if I can smile at you and you have a better fucking day, I don't need anything else from you. I don't need you to like a post. I don't need you to give me your money. Like, we're here to just be nice fucking people in this weird ass rock and space. Like, what the fuck? So I would hope that they would just say, like, my mom loved people and she was here to support people, and I've already like told them like they don't get shit from me unless they fully do Byron Katie's whole work. Like, you got to go to Byron Katie's ranch.
Love what is.
You got to like 4 questions. My 9-year-old knows the 4 questions. Like, he's got a journal and he does it. And I'm like, that's it. Your mind has to be good, or else you don't get shit.
Wow. So be there for the people, help the people, love the people.
Yeah, like, and I think one of the things that our kids, I always say to the parents I work with, I'm like, your kids don't listen to what you say. They watch who you're being. They're going to model you. So who gives it? Like, how do I make my kids more confident? Are you confident? No, but it's not about me. It's about my kid. I'm like, bullshit. It's about you. What you do, what you watch on TV, all the bullying. Stop watching reality TV where they fucking rip each other apart and someone's a villain. And in real life, they're not a villain, but they're a villain. And that person, and your kid in the background, you're raising them up watching this. Then you wonder why there's bullying issues. I'm like, you're being a bully at home. You're doing this at home, so they watch us, and
Can we go into after the show right now, because this is a whole parenting.
Shit,
we can't. I'm so curious. I have one last thing.
Oh, geez,
because I heard for the people.
Okay,
for the people.
As a parent,
yes,
as a parent, because we're all parents, and I feel like that's just one of the biggest parts of my life. What do you want your kids to say to you as a parent? As a parent,
okay.
What do you want them to say to me?
What do you want them to say about you
as a parent?
Like,
oh, fuck.
mom or whatever you want to say as a parent.
As a parent. I feel like, I don't know how, Randy and Brian, they love me and they think I'm the sweetest, softest thing. But we know, you met my husband. I am the military Puerto Rican mom.
Yeah.
But you know why they don't feel that? They feel like nurture because I'm a lover and a kisser and a hugger. And they're just like, they just love me. They're like, you're so beautiful. I love you. Can you scratch my back? You give the best hugs. And they always say, thank you for being the best cooker. I'm the best cooker.
The best cooker.
I'm like, cooker?
So
Mommy's a good cooker. I'm like, okay, great. Like, so I feel like they feel nurtured and touched by me, like
and
physical
held
touch.
Affection,
I'm
right?
super affectionate. And they're both very affectionate.
Yeah.
And my husband, he didn't grow up affectionate. So I have to force him. He's acts of service. So like wash his car, suck his dick kind of thing, you know?
I'm acts of service and Sharna is all like touch and affection.
Yes, and we need the words.
Yeah, so I'm like, we're constantly having to.
So I feel like they'll be like, my mom always told me how awesome I was, and she always hugged me and loved me. Like, I feel like I'm the loving, hugging, safe space where I didn't repeat the slapping and the hitting that I got, which is what many of us got growing up.
Right.
But also it worked. Look at us now. No. But it's not good. We shouldn't do it. But like for me, I think that's what they're going to say about me. Where like Hamish is, I don't know, he's like the mind. He's like he sits with them and he tells them things and philosophies and like stoicism and like answers all the crazy, like, why are we here? Like my 9-year-old. And I'm like, you got to ask your dad. Like your dad knows how to answer that really well, but I'll give you the biggest hug and teach you about Byron Katie.
Okay,
beautiful. After
the show, we're going to jump in now because I want to get into, and you're going to miss it unless you go over to oldishpodcast.com and you check out the tiers that we have.
Yeah, you can watch for free, and then there's other tiers.
Yes, do the tiers.
But so we're now going to get into, because I'm dying to know, parenting, which is, it's like such a...
Fuck.
There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. Fuck. That's the way to go. So come join us after the show. We're going to jump in right now. So thank you all for listening and for being here.
Thanks, everyone.
And we'll see you next episode.
Thank you, Erika.
Thank you.
Hey, if you're going through something right now, if you need additional support, then please reach out to me at randyspelling.com/help or go to my Instagram at randyspelling. Thanks.